tell you something, ladies. There are things about men that most women will never hear, never see, and never understand. Not because men are complicated, not because they're heartless or distant, but because men don't talk about certain things. They live them. They hide them. They carry them like silent weights that nobody ever asks about. And if you don't learn how to read those unspoken messages, you'll keep misreading men. You'll keep thinking he doesn't care when in fact he's trying his best to care the only way he knows how. Today, I'm going to tell you 5 psychological secrets about men that 97% of women never hear. And if you listen to these, really listen, you'll stop arguing with men and start understanding them. You'll stop chasing validation and start commanding respect. Because once you understand how a man thinks, you'll never have to guess his intentions again. Secret Phi 1, his ego is not arrogance, it's protection. See, a man's ego gets misunderstood every single day. People say he's cocky, he's full of himself, he's got an attitude, but that ego, that's his armor. A man's ego isn't built overnight, it's built from years of being told to be strong, to never cry, to handle everything. Society didn't hand him softness, it handed him expectations. So what does he do? He builds a wall. He calls it confidence, he calls it pride, but what it really is protection. That ego is how he hides pain. That ego is how he survives rejection. That ego is how he convinces himself he's okay even when his world is falling apart. You ever meet a man who walks like nothing can touch him? That's not arrogance, that's survival. You ever wonder why he won't open up? Why he shuts down when you try to talk deep? It's because vulnerability feels like danger. Because every time he's ever opened up, someone used it against him. Ladies, hear me. When a man finally lets his guard down, that's not weakness. That's trust. That's him saying, you feel safe enough for me to take off my armor. And when you laugh at that moment, when you belittle his feelings, you're overreacting, that armor goes right back on. But this time he locks it from the inside. So no, don't crush his ego. Learn to speak around it. Let him know you respect the man he's trying to be, not just the man you want him to be. When a man feels respected, he'll move mountains for you. Secret Pay 2. Fall in love through peace, not pressure. You can be the most beautiful woman in the room. You can have charm, class, 1,000 followers telling you how amazing you are. But if a man doesn't feel peace around you, he won't stay. See, men live in a constant battle. Out there, fighting pressure, bills, work, responsibility, failure pride, expectations. The world is heavy on their shoulders. So when a man comes home, or when he's with the woman he loves, what he's really craving is a place to breathe. Peace is not silence. Peace is safety. It's where he can laugh without judgment. It's where he can say, I don't have it all figured out, and not feel like less of a man for it. You know why men love women who listen? Because listening feels like therapy to a man who's been carrying the weight of silence. He doesn't need you to fix him. He doesn't need you to teach him. He needs you to remind him that being human is okay. Ladies, the moment your energy becomes his peace, you become irreplaceable because you gave him something material, but because you gave him something rare, a soft place in a hard world. Secret Pain 3, he remembers how you make him feel, not what you say. A lot of women think men are forgetful. He doesn't remember what I said. Well, it's not that he forgets, it's that he feels. See, women communicate through words, communicate through experiences. You could say the perfect sentence, but if your tone cuts like a knife, he won't hear your love. He'll hear the sting. You could apologize with words, but if your energy says, I'm still mad, he'll feel that. You could tell him you trust him. But if your body language screams suspicion, He'll sense the doubt louder than your voice. Men are emotional scanners. They read peace and tension like colors. When your presence feels warm, he opens up. When it feels cold, he shuts down. You can't pour fire into a man and expect him to bloom. You can't constantly criticize him and then wonder why he's distant. You want a man to listen, speak with respect, to open up, respond with softness. You want him to remember you. Make him feel understood, not attacked. Because long after the argument is over, he won't remember every word, but he will remember how small or how safe he felt in your presence. Secret coin foy, men commit to what they can't replace, not what they can possess. Break this down slow. You can't make a man commit with pressure, with jealousy, or with showing him what he's missing. You make him commit by showing him something he's never had. Men don't stay because of looks. They stay because of impact. They don't commit because of perfection. They commit because of peace. They don't choose forever because of attraction. They choose it because of appreciation. You ever seen a man who used to play games suddenly become serious with one woman? Everyone asks, what did she do? I'll tell you what she did. She became his calm. When a woman walks in her worth, when she doesn't beg for attention, she doesn't chase, she sends a message, I don't need you to complete me, I choose you because I value me. Oh, that energy drives men wild because deep down, every man wants to feel he earned his woman, not that she settled for him. So don't spend your time trying to prove you're better than other women. Be the woman who's so aligned, so peaceful, and so self-respecting that he realizes losing you would feel like losing his balance. That's the kind of woman men commit to. Not the loudest, not the prettiest. Rarest, the one who brings him back to himself. Secret point five, men test loyalty in silence. This one right here separates the real from the fake. Test love through attention, if he calls, if he texts, if he says the right things. But men, they test loyalty through withdrawal. Sometimes he'll pull back. Sometimes he'll go quiet. Sometimes he won't explain himself. It's not always a game. It's a test. He's watching how you move when he's not available. He's watching what you say when he's not listening. He's watching if your respect depends on his attention. Because a man's biggest fear isn't heartbreak. It's betrayal. He doesn't want to invest his soul into someone who only loves the version of him that shines. If you stay consistent during his silence, if you stay kind during his distance, if you stay grounded when things shift, he sees that. He won't say it, but he feels it, because loyalty to a man isn't about grand gestures. It's about calm consistency. It's about being the same woman in public and in private. It's about not weaponizing his emotions when things get hard. He sees that when he realizes you don't love him for what he gives, but for who he is. That's when his wall comes down. That's when his trust becomes real. Now let's put this all together. You want to understand men. You want to stop being confused, frustrated, and hurt by mixed signals. Then remember these 5 truths. A man's ego is his protection. Respect it. He falls in love through peace. Create it. He remembers your energy. Guard it. He commits to what feels rare. Become it. And he tests loyalty in silence. Pass it. See, most women want a man to change, but the real magic happens when you start understanding him instead of fixing him. You don't change a man by demanding he be different. You inspire him by being consistent. You don't make him open up by pushing harder. You make him open up by listening deeper. You don't win his heart by chasing him. You win it by holding your ground in peace. Ladies, when you start walking in your power, when you know who you are, your energy becomes stable and your standards stay high. Men notice, the right man will step up. The wrong one will fade away. And that's not rejection. That's redirection. Because a man who's not ready for a woman of peace will always call her too much. But a man who's grown enough will call her everything he's been praying for. So stop trying to make every man understand your worth. The ones meant for you will see it without explanation. Final truth, men aren't as complicated as people make them out to be. They just speak a different emotional language, a language that values respect over words, peace over promises, and loyalty over love stories. So learn to read that language, to listen to what he doesn't say. Because when a man truly loves you, you won't have to guess. His actions will speak louder than 1,000 I love yous. He'll protect you, not possess you. He'll honor you, not hush you. He'll stand by you, not just stand with you. When that day comes, when you meet the man who matches your peace, not your pain, you'll understand why all the others didn't work. Because love isn't found in games, texts, tension. It's found in peace, respect, and truth. And that's the real secret, not just about men, but about love itself. You ever notice how men walk around like they got it all together, like nothing touches them, like every emotion just bounces off? You ever look at him and think he doesn't care, when deep down you know something's heavy on his chest? That right there, that's not coldness, that's armor. Every man builds it, wears it, hides behind it because somewhere along the way life taught him that softness is dangerous. From the time he was a little boy, he was told to toughen up, don't cry, be strong, handle it, stand tall, act like a man. Nobody told him it was okay to be human. Nobody told him that strength doesn't mean silence, that power doesn't mean pretending, that crying doesn't mean weakness. So he learned how to hold it in, learned how to smile through the pain, learned how to make jokes when he's breaking inside, how to say, I'm fine, when he's not even close. That armor became his second skin, his identity, his defense mechanism. When a man puts that armor on, it's not because he wants to keep you out. It's because he's afraid of falling apart. That armor protects him from a world that measures his worth by how much he provides, how much he produces, and how well he hides his scars. The problem is the same armor that protects him also isolates him. It keeps out the pain, yes, but it also keeps out love. It keeps out understanding. It keeps out the warmth he secretly craves. And most women, not knowing that, take that armor personally. They think he's distant, unbothered, uninterested. Start chasing answers, pushing for vulnerability, demanding emotions he's not ready to show. Here's the truth. You can't force a man to take off armor. He's been told his whole life he needs to survive. You can't make him drop his guard with pressure. You can make him trust your softness. You can make him see that your presence isn't another battlefield. See, men live in a world that constantly tests them. Out there, he's expected to perform, to lead, to fight, to endure. Every day he's reminded that weakness has consequences. So when he comes home or when he's around you, he's looking for a space that feels like peace. He's looking for a softness that doesn't judge him for being tired, doesn't mock him for not knowing what to do, doesn't shame him for being human. And when you give him that softness, when you stop treating his silence like rejection and start treating it like exhaustion, something magical happens. He relaxes. His shoulders drop. His guard lowers inch by inch, because now he knows he's not standing in front of a critic. He's standing in front of someone who understands. You want to see a man melt. Don't yell louder. Don't prove harder. Sit in silence with him when he's distant and let him know you're not going anywhere. You want him to open up. Stop trying to fix him and just listen when he finally starts speaking. You want him to feel seen. Notice what he's not saying, because men are loud in silence. They speak through action, through presence, through what they don't do. When he's quiet, it's not always anger. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's guilt. Sometimes it's his way of processing emotions he's never had the language for. And when you treat that silence with patience instead of panic, you teach him that vulnerability doesn't always end in judgment. Respecting his armor means understanding that it's not your job to break it. It's your job to be the reason he no longer needs it. When he sees that your softness isn't weakness, when he feels that your patience isn't passive, he realizes that your peace doesn't come with manipulation or drama. That's when he starts to trust you differently. Because see, softness in a woman is power. It's not about being quiet. It's about being composed. It's about knowing when to speak and when to stay still. It's about creating an energy that feels safe for truth to walk into. Every man has been hurt in some way. Some by family, some by love, some by failure. He's been told to suck it up, bury it, move on. But those things don't disappear. They harden. They become layers of armor stacked on top of each other. That's why some men seem unreachable. It's not that they don't feel, it's that they feel too much and have no idea how to express it. So they laugh it off, stay busy, work harder, distract themselves with noise. They'll tell you about everything except what's really bothering them. And when you meet that man, the worst thing you can do is demand that he open up on your timeline. He's not a lock that you force open. He's a door that opens when it feels safe. So when you talk to him, talk with kindness. When you argue, argue with respect. When you disagree, remember his tone isn't always defiance. Sometimes it's defense. A man who's used to fighting the world doesn't always know how to stop fighting when he gets home. That's why softness matters, because it teaches him that not every raised voice means war. Not every quiet moment means punishment. Not every emotion means weakness. Softness is not the absence of strength. It's the presence of grace. And grace is what heals the parts of him that life hardened. You want to know something powerful. Crave softness more than they crave beauty. A beautiful face turns his head, but a peaceful energy turns his heart. Softness tells him he can be human here. It tells him he can exhale, that he doesn't have to keep performing strength every second of the day. And once he feels that, he'll start to trust that softness. He'll start to confide little by little. He'll start showing you pieces of himself that nobody else gets to see. But that happens only when you respect his process. Don't mock it. Don't rush it. Don't use it against him. Because once a man shows you his unguarded self and you mishandle it, you'll never see that side again. Respect his armor by respecting his silence. Sometimes when he says, I need space, he doesn't mean I'm leaving. He means I'm trying to figure out how to handle what I feel. Respect his armor by not turning every disagreement into a competition. You don't have to win every point. Sometimes you win more by staying calm. Respect his armor by knowing the difference between ego and identity. When he's proud of his work, his achievements, his ability to provide, don't tear that down to prove a point. That pride isn't arrogance. It's the part of him that keeps going when life hits hard. See, you understand that a man's armor isn't built against you, but built before you. You stop taking it personally. You stop saying, why won't he open up? And start saying, made him close. You stop reacting with anger and start responding with understanding. And that's when the relationship shifts, because now you're not trying to be right. You're trying to be real. And ladies, don't confuse softness with being a pushover. Softness doesn't mean you let him disrespect you. It doesn't mean you shrink your voice or ignore your needs. It means you choose patience over panic, wisdom over reaction, empathy over ego. It means you know your power so well that you don't have to prove it with volume. The kind of woman who respects his armor while keeping her own boundaries commands a man's respect effortlessly. He might not say it out loud, but he'll feel it every time you show grace instead of aggression. Men remember how you made them feel in their most vulnerable moments. The world was heavy, and you chose to understand instead of accuse. That memory stays. When you gave him room to figure things out without making him feel small, that stays. Your softness didn't waver, even when his mood did. That stays. You become the peace he didn't know he needed. You become the exception to every storm he's ever faced. And the thing about peace is, once a man feels it, he'll protect it, he'll value it, he'll move differently for it, because deep down, every man wants to feel like he's enough. He just wants someone who sees the man behind the armor, someone who doesn't judge him by his mistakes, but sees his effort, someone who understands that he's trying, even when he doesn't know how to show it perfectly. So when you talk to him, remember tone matters more than timing. When you listen without already planning your reply. You love him without turning it into a scoreboard. Because every time you respond with softness where he expects criticism, you're rewriting his definition of love. You're teaching him that connection doesn't have to hurt. Respecting his armor isn't weakness. It's emotional intelligence. It's knowing that he's not just a man. He's someone's son, someone's friend, someone who's been through silent battles you'll never see. It's giving grace where the world gave him pressure. It's understanding that his confidence might look bold, but underneath it, it is a boy who learned to survive. A man starts to trust your softness. You'll notice the little things first. He'll start telling you stories he's never shared. He'll start asking your opinion more. He'll start smiling in ways that look lighter, freer. You'll hear laughter that sounds real again. And one day, without realizing it, he'll take off that armor completely. Not because you demand it, but because you earned it with peace. And once that happens, everything changes. Because a man who trusts your softness doesn't forget it. He'll carry that energy with him everywhere. He'll protect you differently, love you differently, and show up differently. Because now he knows he doesn't have to be perfect to be loved. He just has to be present. You ever notice how the world already got enough noise, enough battles, enough chaos, enough people trying to prove a point, trying to win arguments that don't even matter, trying to outtalk somebody who ain't even listening? Life itself is heavy. Work is pressure. Responsibilities are pressure. Expectations are pressure. And somewhere in the middle of that, a man just wants one thing when he comes home: peace. Not silence, not distance, not avoidance, peace. That feeling that says, I'm safe here. That space that tells his spirit, you can exhale now. Because when a man finds peace in a woman, he stops searching for escape. He starts planning for forever. Now that don't mean you got to walk on eggshells or shrink yourself small. No, it means understanding how powerful your presence is when it's calm. It's understanding when it's not competing with his chaos but soothing it. Some people think peace is boring. No, peace is where joy lives. Peace is where growth happens. Pressure, it burns out the fire before it can even turn into warmth. A man under pressure can't hear love. You can shout, I love you, all day long. But if it's coated in criticism, he hears commands, not care. See, men don't open up because they're scared to be judged. They carry the weight of, I got this, until they can't anymore. When they finally find the courage to be vulnerable, they need to know that the person they open up to won't use their weakness as ammunition later. Peace builds that trust. Pressure breaks it. When a man can breathe around you, he'll start telling you things he's never said out loud. He'll start planning dreams that involve you, not just around you, because peace makes him believe that love doesn't have to hurt to be real. A peaceful woman is not a quiet one. She's the one who speaks with timing. She knows when to push and when to pause. She knows when to guide with gentleness instead of guilt. She ain't perfect, but she's aware. She doesn't raise her voice to be heard because her energy already speaks before she opens her mouth. She doesn't demand, she inspires. And when she says something, it hits different because it's not coming from anger, it's coming from understanding. That's the difference between reaction and wisdom. Men will climb mountains for peace, protect it, build for it, fight for it, because peace to a man is rare. You can't buy it, can't fake it, can't force it. Peace shows up in how you handle moments that don't go your way. It's in how you respond when he's late, when he's distant, when life gets messy. Peace doesn't mean pretending everything's fine. It means choosing grace over explosion. It means pausing before you say something that cuts deep. Because peace is power. Anger might win the argument, but peace wins the soul. And listen, every man's got his breaking point. Every man's got that one day where he says, man, I just want somebody who doesn't add to the weight I already carry. He don't want a partner who fights him. He wants one who fights with him. That doesn't mean being passive. It means knowing how to bring calm when the world is bringing storms. When you become that peace, he will defend you like his oxygen because you are his oxygen. Sometimes peace is not saying the first thing that comes to your mind. It's asking, is this going to heal? Is it going to hurt? It's knowing that silence can be more powerful than sarcasm. It's remembering that you're not his opponent, you're his partner. That's where peace starts. It's emotional intelligence, it's maturity, it's knowing when love needs empathy instead of ego. See, people think peace is passive, but peace is strength under control. Anybody can scream, anybody can blame, but it takes strength to stay grounded when everything is pulling at your patience. A peaceful woman doesn't lose her voice, she just uses it with purpose. She ain't scared to say, that hurt me, but she says it in a way that invites healing instead of defense. That's what real feminine power looks like. It's not manipulation, it's emotional clarity. Pressure, on the other hand, comes from fear. Fear that you're not being seen, not being heard, not being prioritized. Here's the truth, pressure pushes people away. Peace draws them closer. If you ever want to know how to keep a man's attention, stop chasing it and start creating an atmosphere he doesn't want to leave. That atmosphere is not full of demands, it's full of acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean tolerance of bad behavior. It means you approach things with composure, not chaos. Every man has two worlds, the one outside that tests him and the one inside that restores him. If the outside world drains him and the inside world drains him too, he starts looking for escape routes. When the inside world, the home, the heart, the woman, gives him calm, he starts looking for ways to protect it. That's when he starts doing better, showing up more, giving more. Not because he's forced, but because he wants to. Peace changes the tone of everything. You ever seen how a calm conversation can turn an argument into understanding? How a soft word can stop a man mid-defensive thought? That's peace at work. It's not weakness, it's wisdom, it's control. It's saying we're on the same side. Because the truth is, men don't need perfection, they need partnership. They need that reminder that love doesn't have to be a battlefield every day. Now some women say, but I'm tired of always being the calm one. I get that. But peace doesn't mean you're the only one responsible for the mood. Peace starts with you. It spreads through both. You set the tone and he learns the rhythm. Eventually he'll match it because energy trains people. If you bring chaos, you get chaos. If you bring calm, you teach calm. Men mirror the environment they trust. A man will do anything for a woman who gives him peace. He'll start fixing things that were broken before her. He'll step into roles he once avoided. He'll even become softer without losing strength because peace gives him permission to be both warrior and human. It tells him he doesn't have to choose between protecting and feeling. That's when love becomes a sanctuary, not a stress test. Peace is not found in pretending, it's found in presence. You look at him and say, I see you even when you're quiet. That's peace. When you give him a chance to explain before you assume, that's peace. You listen without waiting for your turn to talk. That's peace. When you forgive faster than you explode, that's peace. It's a series of small choices that build safety over time. Once peace becomes the foundation, everything else starts to align. Communication improves. Intimacy deepens. Trust rebuilds. Because peace makes space for love to breathe again. Peace, even love, suffocates. And when a man feels that peace, he'll protect it like it's gold. He'll brag about it without even meaning to. You'll hear it in how he talks about you when you're not around. You'll see it in how he looks at you when he's around everyone else. So when life starts throwing its curveballs, remember the loudest person doesn't win, the calmest one does. Because calm people think clear, love deeper, and lead with strength. You can't be at peace if you're at war with yourself. Start there. Heal there. Love from that place. Because peace is not something you give, it's something you are. You become peace. You don't chase energy. You attract it. You don't beg for love. You embody it. You don't threaten to leave. You inspire him to stay because your presence stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like peace. And that's when everything changes.